Hey everyone, welcome back to the Bimmer Barn. In today's episode, we're going to be doing another cool E39 retrofit. Today we're going to be retrofitting the E38 illuminated door handles onto my M5 wagon. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's go ahead and take a look at the parts that we'll be needing for today. And before we get into it, go ahead and drop a like down below to really help out the channel, and drop a comment if you enjoyed this retrofit. Let's get to work. So this is actually not a new modification in the E39 community. A lot of guys are aware that the E38 door handles are exactly the same as the E39, and if you found the specific E39 with the illuminated door handles, you could pretty easily retrofit it in your car. Now the trick is that you can only find these on certain 7 series. That's going to be from 1999 to 2001, and the other thing that you have to make note of is that these use a hook style latch on the back, which is the same style as the early model E39. But on the late model E39s, those use a different clip style for the inner door handles, and if you had that style, you would need to go and grab the old cables from either a parts car or buy them new. So that's something important, that if you have an early generation E39, you can go ahead and retrofit these really easily, but if you have a late model like an LCI 2001 to 2003, you're gonna have to buy new cables to go with these door handles. So let's go ahead and pull off one of the door panels, and I'll show you what we're going to do to wire in these LEDs. So now that we have the door panel off, I just want to show you guys. My plan is to grab the illumination signal from this connector, which actually goes to the window switch. So on each door, there's going to be a similar connector. All we need to do is find the ground and the illumination light signal, which powers the LED when the car goes into night mode. So the ground is easy. It's just going to be the brown wire on the connector. And then the illumination, I guess we can look up, or we could just test it with our power probe. I think I'm just going to go ahead and test it with my power probe, because we'll have to do something similar on all the doors, front and rear. But let me go ahead and grab that, and then we'll see which pin turns power when we turn the lights on. So if I just snap my fingers, there we are, our power probe. So we need to go ahead and test every single pin here, and then make a note of which ones have no power, and then we'll turn the lights on and then see which ones have power. Now, if you're going to be testing the wires like me, it's important that you have the switch connected while you're testing for the power and ground, because the power to the illuminated circuit only comes on if it senses that the switch is connected. So I went and already cut off a little bit of the insulation from each of the wires. The brown one we know is already a ground. So we're going to go ahead and test all these and see what they say when the lights are off, and then we'll test them again with the lights on. So that looks like no signal on pin number 2. Pin number 3, nothing. Nothing on pin number 3, and nothing on pin number 4 either. So now let's go ahead and turn the lights on and see what it says. So it's really hard to see, but the lights are now on. So we can go ahead and test these wires for power again and see which one gives us 12 volts. Looks like 12 volts on pin number 2, and number 3 and 4 are going to be the switch circuits for the window. So we know that pin 2, which is this gray and red wire, it provides power when the lights are on. So that's what we're going to tap into for our power, and then the ground is what we'll tap into for our ground. Now the one problem that we're going to have is that these wires are a little bit short. I try to cut these off as long as possible, but I don't think that's enough wire to get slack in the door, and we don't want to have these wires just pulling on each other. So first up, we're going to go ahead and lengthen these with some extra wire, and then we'll grab some splice connectors and we'll be able to tap it into the door. just like that, we've got our cables lengthened. It's really easy with these quick solder connectors. I'll put a link to these in the description below. They make it real easy to solder small wires like this. But now that we've got this done, we can go ahead and disconnect the light bulb. And we'll bring this over to the car with a couple of these crimp connectors, and we'll make our connection. Now that was nice and simple as well with these inline splice connectors. All we have to do is turn our lights on and this bulb should light up, and then we know that we can reassemble the door. And looking good, looking good. I love that orange glow. You know, if you have an old BMW, you know what that orange glow looks like. Really, really nice. Kind of gives the car a cockpit feel. So all we have to do now is reassemble the door, and this will click into our new door handle, and then we'll have a successful single retrofit, but 3 more to do. And now, let's go ahead and enjoy our work for a second. Turn the lights off. Much better. Now, I will say that it doesn't look 100% perfect. This might be my fault for my door panels. Obviously, my door panels are kind of raggedy, but the light is bleeding from the top here where the leather doesn't perfectly meet the door handle. So that is kind of weird. Not sure if you'll notice it or not when you're in the passenger seat, and it might just be on this door, it might not be on all the other ones. Another thing too is that these handles that I got from the junkyard, they have a little bit of corrosion. You have these little specks on here. And the original handles I have, you know, on my E39, they're in much better condition, but I would rather have the illuminated feature than these normal looking ones. So we'll go ahead and deal with that for now. And in the future, if I come across another full set at the junkyard, I'll pick them and I'll swap them out because we already have the wiring done. So all we would have to do is change out this inner handle itself. So that is done. We're gonna go ahead and apply the same procedure on the rear door. And I'm thinking that we're gonna have the same gray and red wire that we're gonna use to tap that 12-volt source, because you can see that that is what BMW has been using for that wire to show illumination at night. So we'll go ahead, pull this door panel off, and then find the same wire and tap into it. All right, well, that one was easy as well. And you can see we got that beautiful orange glow. And on this door panel, there is no light leaking from the top. So it is safe to say that my door panel in the front is a little bit warped, old, and bad. But in the back here, it's gonna look really nice. And again, matches the glow with the buttons right here. And so the cool thing is that your passengers will better be able to find the door handle at night when they're getting out of their Uber, I guess. So the red and gray wire is the exact wire you're gonna wanna use to get the illumination signal, and I'm about to prove that theory correct because I know it's going to be the same on this window switch because it's exactly the same as these two. But we're going to go ahead and try pulling out the front switch now, and we'll check to see if there's a gray and red wire there. We'll tap into it, install our handle, and we'll be able to conclude this retrofit just like that. So update, we've got basically 3 or 4 sources. All the wires that I was able to find that were gray with a red stripe on them, all of them were positive sources for illumination when the key is on. So I tapped into one that was for the window switch here, but there's actually two sources, so two wires like this one that are red and gray. And then there's one even for the button for the seat memory or whatever this one was, and that will also have an illumination signal on it as well. So just like that, you can go ahead and tap in. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this door. And of course, with a little bit of editing magic, I can just snap my fingers and go, we're done. And you can see we got that beautiful orange glow right there. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate this retrofit probably like a 3 or a 4. It's super easy to do, satisfying as well. There's just the challenge of finding those door handles at the junkyard from the correct E38 because not all of them came with those illuminated door handles. You can also source them off of eBay. You'll find them on sale usually, maybe like $100, $200 for a full set, but they're pretty cheap. You just want to make sure that you get them with those LEDs and the harness clipped off. So I hope you guys enjoyed this retrofit. I'm also going to put some extra links in the description to the supplies that we used today, as well as part numbers for the door handles and the door handle pull cables that you'll need if you're retrofitting these to a late model E39. Ryan over at E39 Source has a great video on this as well. I'll put a link to that down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching and modding my E39 with me, and I look forward to doing more retrofits for you in the future. We've got some cool stuff coming up with the headlights, as well as something really cool and custom that I can't wait to unveil to you guys, so stay tuned. Go ahead and leave a like down below for me, comment what you think of this retrofit, and subscribe to the channel if you love E39s as much as I do. As always, I hope everyone has an awesome day, and we'll see you next time.